right, now that it's, I can see the clock. It's about 7:15. All right, 7:10. We'll open the March 7th meeting of the Finance Committee. Tonight we have some special guests. We have from South Shore VOTEC, we have Tom Hickey, the superintendent, and then we have Adele Leonard. She is the Abington rep on the school board for South Shore VOTEC, and we have Bob Kelly, treasurer with South Shore VOTEC. So you guys want to come on up? Thank you. We've been saying this like every week when we do this. We're sort of getting towards the end of meeting with all the departments and department heads over the budget. Right now, basically what we have in front of us overall for the town is a proposed budget, and we're moving towards the town meeting, which is April 2nd. So in doing that, we've met with police, we've met with fire, we've met with almost everybody. We've got you guys, and then we have the Abington School Department next week. So welcome. Do you know everybody here, or shall we do a?
That would be helpful.
Okay,
yep.
Let's do that. Chad, why don't you start?
Chad Levitt.
Stephanie Eastwood.
Maureen Jansen.
Rick Craney.
Barbara Cristoforo.
Kathleen Cahill.
Cindy Whiting.
Deb Levy.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So
I have books if you want. Did you get books?
I don't think that we did actually.
Okay.
We did not.
6, 8.
There's usually 9 of us here, but 2 of us are missing.
I'll give you 10. All right.
Sure. That's perfect.
And you can
then we
give
have one
those
for
to the
one
other
for the
people.
meeting minutes and one for us.
Again, we're sort of proud of these books because we produce this in-house, and you can get an idea of what the school does for printing projects.
That's right.
And we are celebrating our 50th year, right, Tom?
Starting next year.
And that's the theme of the book. Every year we have a different theme.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
have a series of higher profile events throughout next year.
Unlike Abington, they're celebrating its 300th.
Yeah.
The 50s part.
It'll be a little while to catch up to that, but yeah.
And as sort of an aside before you get going,
Please.
a couple of us were fortunate enough about a month ago
Yes.
to go and we met with Mr. Hickey, and we had an excellent tour of the facility and of the classrooms, and saw some students, and it was very, very nice.
And I want to thank the members of the committee that were able to attend, and certainly the invitation is always extended for folks if they'd like to come back over anytime. Anytime.
All right. So.
I certainly want to make sure that I leave ample time if you have questions, and recognizing this is the first opportunity for you to look through the budget book. Please feel free to flip through those pages as I'm talking. I'd like to give you a little bit of a background about how we arrived at this point. I'll highlight some of the items that I presented at a budget presentation to our school committee back in December. And with Bob's help, I'll speak to a few other handouts that he'll send your way. Prior to me serving in this role here, I was the school's principal for 4 years, and then an administrator and a teacher at the school. So I was familiar with the budget process, and I asked department heads back in the fall to prepare a zero-based budget. I asked them to look at their cost center from the ground up and to budget what they needed. That happened in October and November. I, with the help of our business office, was able to look at our cost center expenses. I went back to department heads asking them to prioritize, and was able to eventually produce a budget that I brought to the school committee in December that was about a 5.3% increase. The committee asked me to reduce that budget, and I brought back to them in January a total budget with a 4.8% increase. And for folks who were able to visit with us, I was able to give at least a hard copy of a budget presentation, but that is on our website as well. Certainly, if you'd like to look at it. It's difficult to project. If I was looking to label this budget as being, level budget or level services, I really think it's a mix. My priority was to preserve. What I said to the committee was I wanted to preserve the instructional core, teaching physicians, direct services to students. As a quick history lesson, last year our budget increased a modest 1.55%, and we made a conscious decision to preserve staff, and so there were very deep supply cuts. What I looked at in this budget in preparing it was basically I was going to have to make significant cuts in non-instructional supply areas in order to reallocate those dollars. So I'm happy to say that the budget that the school committee certified did not have to result in the loss of any teaching staff. Within that budget number, we are also in the process, mostly with Bob's help shepherding us through this, of having finished a very successful and under-budget roof and window project, which our 8 towns were very grateful that they supported. That project is almost done except for the paperwork that came in under budget. So the assessments to our 8 towns this year include the last year of a bond payment on our 1992 edition, as well as in this budget book here, the first year of our payment on our roof and window project as well.
I happen to have a breakdown of that.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. The handout that Mr. Kelly is going to give you will show the difference in the debt service numbers for each of our towns. What is labeled as old debt service would be, as I said, the payment on the 1992 edition, and new debt service is what the town will be taking on with the roof and window project. I'll give you a chance to look at that.
We tried to time it so that they wouldn't double up. This is the only year they double up. So we missed by a year. And just, Tom, can I just...
Please.
Check a couple things while I look at those numbers. We had originally projected that we would need $3.3 million for the project. It came in at 2.6. And our piece, which was 48%, we had projected we would need 1.6 million at 4% interest to borrow over 10 years. We actually borrowed 1.3 million at 2.18%. The effect on Abington, we were projecting your first year cost would be $40,818 when we were here a couple of years ago. And as you can see, it's it's $27,902. So again, just to let you know, we're responsive to you, to the towns, and we try to do the best we can to make these things work. And we're happy for your support too.
That's right. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. So in essence, that number is obviously very important for you to realize that that is included in your assessment number. Very pleased with the result, by the way. No more barrels in the hallways 3 days after it rains. We're very excited about that. So in essence, the budget that I presented to the school committee, which they certified, as I said, still allows us to maintain the instructional core. I ended up eliminating a part-time custodial position, and I did reduce the hours of a support staff position in order to, again, to accomplish this. The deep supply cuts were somewhat restored. Again, with the zero-based budget, the goal is not simply to add dollars to last year's numbers. It's an annual revisiting of what exactly the cost center needs. When I say cost center, I could be talking about the carpentry shop, I could be talking about the special education department, I could be talking about maintenance. We are, in the other unique item I'd add to what Bob was saying is that we're also up for a NEASC accreditation visit in October of 2013. So fiscal 13 is really the last full fiscal year that we have to attend to any NEASC recommendations that might have been made, which I would say would be important for us to have in place when the visiting team comes at the very beginning of the 2013-2014 school year. A couple of other highlights. I think it's also important to note as you're looking at the budget, at this budget book, that this budget also includes costs that are typically that are not typically found in a school budget. One of the handouts that Bob will give you will indicate that of a total budget of $10.9 million, this budget has $2.1 million worth of expenses that are typically found on the town side. So I'll give you a moment to just take a look at that. And there are a couple of items I'd like to speak to in here.
Chief, did I give you two?
No.
I missed one.
Oh, you did. Sorry.
Sure, Mr. Dean on this one.
So certainly the last number on this chart, the debt service, that number again is inclusive of those two items I mentioned earlier. We also had a couple of employees that have been out on extended workers' comp, which has led, after 2 years, to a significant increase in our insurance premium. With regard to health insurance, last month, the South Shore Regional School Committee voted to accept the new health insurance law, 32B, sections 21 through 23. We are in negotiations currently with both of our bargaining units, and the committee felt that it was an option that they have available. That does not mean that they have made any decisions about what to do relative to the Group Insurance Commission, but they recognize that that option is now available for municipalities, and so they voted that. And as I said, we are currently in negotiations with both of our bargaining units. The early stages of our teacher negotiations, as we're currently in the 3rd year of a 3-year contract. Our support unit, we've been in negotiations for about a year, and their contract expired in June of 2011. So that is underway. Barbara?
What is your healthcare split?
Yeah.
Right now?
Currently, our healthcare split is the district pays 70%, and the primary plans we offer for active employees are Network Blue and Harvard Pilgrim HMO.
Could I just make a comment on that?
So it's 70/30?
Yeah, but on the 70/30, it's, I have a difficult situation with it because in our contract, when I came to the school, when Methuselah was still alive, the contract said that if, we paid 50/50, the contract said if the towns increased their percentage so that the average of the 8 towns went up, we had to go up. And Abington, Whitman, and Rockland increased in 1 year, and we automatically had to go from 50 to 70. It was not negotiated, there were no givebacks, and it's a very sore subject with me. But we're stuck at 70/30 at this point. We're trying to reduce it, as other people are doing the same thing. To us, it's a high-profile item on our negotiation list,
Right.
and the union knows that.
Right. Yeah.
We tried the last negotiations, and they gave us a 0% increase in their first year, the teachers did, so that we would drop our proposals on health insurance.
That's right.
But it's a very hot-button issue with us, especially me, so we'll see what happens.
Right.
What is Abington, 85?
70/30.
Yeah, 75/25.
75/25, all right.
Looking for 60.
I think Rockland went to like 95, and somebody else went to 85 that caused us to go up.
Yeah, it was indexed, in the old
Yeah.
contract language was indexed
Yeah,
for a
we
long
now
time.
have that out, that's gone.
Right, right. So we're in the process of working with the union on that now, to try to curb those costs, because ultimately, we want to see dollars that are going, into instruction. So, again, we're in the process of working on
So, for
that.
plan design or the GIC?
Well, right now, our priority is to see if we can come to some sort of bargaining at the table without having to, invoke either option. But of course, the options available would be going to the GIC or mandatory plan design change, which would be what Mayflower is calling the benchmark, the benchmark plan. So we're in conversations about that now.
The savings to GIC are significant. I hope you're aware of it, Alan. They're significant.
Right. A few other handouts just to highlight in terms of enrollment. I certainly don't need to go through the state funding formula and all of that. But and you might recall last year we had Roger Hatch from DESE come in to make a brief presentation. Bob, would you mind giving out a couple of those handouts?
This is the Abington 6-year compare, and you can see what's happening. And again, the students drive the assessment, even though the costs do also, but the students are the primary factor. And this is a nice Kelly Green chart that we prepared.
Abington Green, Wave Green.
Bob would say it's Kelly Green. I don't know if he knows any other green.
No, when you're Bob Kelly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Blood runs great.
We have you can get an idea of where the school is growing. I have total enrollment over the last 6 years. So we are filled with a waiting list is the problem.
So we have more, collectively, we have more students in the building than ever before. And Bob will have a subsequent handout that will break down some enrollment for you by the towns. Of the, if you're looking, so the Kelly Green chart shows you obviously a steady increase in enrollment. The 153 represents slightly over 25% of the school population.
It also represents the largest sending town.
That's correct. And on the handout Bob's giving you now, it will confirm that breakdown
By town.
by town. On the blue chart that you're looking at, which shows the total enrollment of the, for instance, of the 609, 598 of those students are in district. This pales in comparison to years gone by where they were. When I started there as a teacher in the mid-90s, I had lots of students from Halifax, Pembroke, out of district. And again, our popularity with our priority to our district towns has led to a severe reduction in the number of available spots for out-of-district students. So that's what that last handout will indicate. You'll notice that some towns their enrollment goes up, sometimes it goes down. And in this case, you know, we have a couple of towns where their enrollment has gone down and a few where it's gone up.
Tom, but I just mentioned, on the out-of-district students, they pay a tuition rate that is set by the state, and the town is responsible for transporting them back and forth. And the money we collect from those people, it's around $170,000, I think, this year, goes back to the 8 towns the following year. So we don't get to keep the non-resident tuition. And it is a nice source of revenue to have, although we would probably not like to have it, prefer to have all in-district town
Right.
students.
That's right. That's exactly right. But that's how we handle that out-of-district tuition. Bob, would you like to do the final enrollment page as well, just to
Along with all the towns?
for the trends?
Yeah. We also have a chart of all 8 towns and how they're doing. It's kind of interesting because they're bouncing all over the place. But I think that's because of the economy, I really do. You see how Abington stacks up to the other towns.
I'm green.
How about that?
We're not green.
I didn't have responsibility for this chart. Yeah.
Why not?
We're not.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Get this back together.
So again, those charts obviously show an increasing trend in enrollment as well. So we're proud of the fact that we have more students than ever before. We're proud of the fact that a quarter of our population is from Abington, and I'd like to believe that that's because we're able to serve the needs of the students. So I guess in summary, and be happy to field any questions, the budget was mostly a reallocation of dollars into core instructional areas, accounting also for some outliers with regard to workers' comp, as well as the roof and window project. Cuts to help offset it internally, a few adjustments with support staff, deeper cuts in professional development, extracurriculars, administrative supply lines, again, trying to move dollars around. The budget book that you have, again, if you had the opportunity, a lot of paper coming your way, but essentially on page 1 of that spiral-bound budget book, the page 1 is the summary page, and you will find a breakdown of those respective lines as you have an opportunity to flip through the pages. Thanks, Maureen. Yeah,
Oh, okay,
thank you.
All right, thank you, sorry. Maybe, I know we kind of go through this every year, but I don't know whether Bob or you could go through maybe the allocation, because we see here, basically what we're seeing is a proposed budget of $10,941,227.
Yes.
And you said it's a 5% increase over last year?
4.8, yeah.
4.8? Okay. But now, when it gets into the allocation or the assessment to the 8 different towns.
Yes.
I think that's, I mean, this is obviously, I mean, this is, whatever we said, a 4.8% increase.
Right. But at
when
the
it
end of the day,
comes-
that number does not matter to this
Yeah.
committee.
Well,
The big picture
does.
matters, but your town assessment is
It
the number
does.
you have to worry about with your
Right.
warrant.
Right. Like, we have to understand that it's increased, you know, somewhat. I mean, I don't know what ours, you know, but, so giving, you know, about 5% increase or whatever, but how does that result in what Abington has to pay?
Right.
And maybe
So Abington's
something like that.
assessment, for the preliminary assessment, is $1,912,182, which is I'll say that again, $1,912,182. That is a $160,305 increase, or 9.15%.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's obviously the number that you need to work on. Again, as Bob has said quite often, the state formula generally drives 80% of the overall assessment, Bob. Right. So when you look at minimum contribution numbers, the state has said from the beginning that per pupil costs for vocational schools are more than other schools. And I think that the formula number that they use from the DESE website is something in the vicinity of $12,500. That's when they're trying to establish a foundation number. And once they establish the foundation number, then they look at the towns to see what proportion of the town is the student population. Then they look at the town's ability to pay. So that assessment number, is enrollment a huge driving factor? Absolutely. But as I told you a few moments ago, we have a couple of towns whose enrollment went down, but I don't have any towns that I can say their assessment went down. So there are towns where the enrollment is down, the assessment might be up in the lower single digits. But then you have towns such as Abington, where the enrollment has gone up by 7, the assessment increase is around 9%. Last year, again, there's no necessarily a connection. Last year, I think from memory, I think the assessment percentage increase was similar. It was around 9% last year, and Abington's enrollment went up by 3 students. So enrollment certainly is a driving factor there.
Say again?
Got a bargain this year.
Is the assessment based on number of students this current school year or the prior school year?
October 1st of 2011, those numbers get certified.
It lags a year, though. This is the 12-13.
This is the 2013 budget, but it's based on October of 11.
Of this year.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So it lags a year,
That's, I think,
just because that's
those are the numbers we
the
have.
numbers we have, so.
We're doing the numbers now for
The
students.
12-13 budget is based upon the 11-12 population.
Right. And the other items that go, I'm sorry, Barbara.
I just was, your administration salary went down?
Yes. He's cheaper than the other guy.
Yeah, quite a negotiator, aren't they?
I just.
We had 2 administrators retire last year.
Okay.
And that is part of the.
So you hire in,
Plus the superintendent is cheaper than the other guy.
Priceless, Mr. Kelly.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate that.
and did you also get a different phys ed teacher?
That number reflects the actual scheduling of the teacher. We have, again, at some point in the future, I would like to be able to come back to you saying I have been able to do this, but we have a phys ed teacher that is not full-time. And again, that's something that I would like to be able to prioritize in the future, but I can't do that right now.
Maybe I missed it. Do we have everybody else's assessments? I know we usually sometimes
You
get
don't
a
have
sheet
these
like
sheets?
that.
I
I'm
sent them out.
wondering.
I don't know whether you want to,
We may have them someplace. We don't have them tonight, though.
okay.
Mark,
I have one set. I didn't make a whole set because we sent them all out.
No. We may have them, and
We'll
I
make a
probably
copy.
have it somewhere.
Is there a place I can make a
I'll take a
copy?
look. Does anybody have it on them? Hold on, I
Is your copy machine available? I'll just make 9, 10 copies. Is
This
it?
time of year, we end up with so much stuff that,
I bet.
Just that front sheet. Yeah.
just from, okay, thanks. I do believe we saw it maybe back a month or so ago, maybe December. Yeah.
January today.
That would make
We sent it out right after the governor's budget was proposed. That's what we're basing it upon.
Yeah. Right, anybody have any questions? I know you're kind of taking a look at everything that's been handed out, but,
Maureen,
yeah, go ahead, please.
the debt service on this sheet here is 392,000, and on this sheet it's 180. What's the difference? Is there something that's not included on this one?
I noticed that too.
Well, this is the, yeah, this is what's, there's a 260, this is the interest on this one, the old debt service, all right? There's a $265,000, $245,000 payment.
So it's 245 plus the chart we gave out for making up the total.
And the 245 is what?
The final payment on the bond,
Okay.
the old,
From the 92.
And let me ask you, the status of your, I don't know if it's your proposed budget or if it's already been, can you guys just, for those who are watching, can
Sure.
someone give us because there are, just kind of teeing you up, there's 8 towns involved. This is one budget, but it's broken down into 8 assessments, all the different towns get theirs. Can you give me sort of like the background not background, but like the timing on what happens when and how many towns have to approve it?
Absolutely, yes.
Just
So
for those who haven't heard.
by school charter, we have to certify a budget 60 days before the earliest town meeting of the towns in our district. In recent years, it's either been Cohasset or Situate who has scheduled a town meeting in sometimes late March or early April. So historically, we certify a budget at our January regular school committee meeting. We need to have 6 of our 8 towns approve our budget, and so we're now in the window where we're going to meet with respective finance committees to have conversations around specific town assessments. These items are then on spring town meeting warrants, and again, from late March through May, and occasionally we'll see town meetings delayed until June. So it's very likely that we're into June before we would be able to secure at least 6 of 8 towns.
and then if we don't, at the point that the 5th town says, the 3rd town says no.
If 3 towns say no, yes.
We have 60 days to come back with a new budget. And then you have 30 days to come back with a new budget. You have 60 days to call a town meeting to object.
Right.
If you don't object, it's considered accepted.
Object to the new budget?
The new assessment.
The new assessment. So if you look at it that way, if 3 towns say no, you have to go back.
We have
But if-
30 days to recertify a new budget and send it to you. And then the towns have 60 days from that point to call a town meeting.
Okay.
Or they can.
Or no
accept-
action
no action
would mean
accept.
acceptance.
Until we get 6 out of the 8 again. Then we'd have to go the whole process all over again. In the meantime, we would be able to assess you 1/12 of the prior year's budget. So you would still be paying us. So
Yeah.
it would be 1/12 of the prior year's assessment.
Now, since 6 out of the 8 towns, so if 3 town meetings go through, and the budget is approved in 3 town meetings, it's done.
No, we're still waiting for 6.
Oh, you need,
Saying-
but.
If 3 say no,
If 3
If
say,
three- I'm so- say if- So if 3 say no, all right, you're right.
then the time triggers in.
Okay, so we need 6 to go through in order,
But if we get to 3 saying no,
then you know it's,
then we know it. And at
You gotta
that
start
point, the
going.
time starts
right,
ticking.
it would go back to the committee.
okay. Has that ever happened?
Once
Once it happened?
in the late 80s.
And do you know who's the earliest town meeting this year?
I think, But half,
Either Cohasset, Situate, or Norwalk.
yeah,
So
I think it's
real-
Situate. I could double check.
I think Situate, because they said they were closing everything off the other night. and I
Yeah,
think
that's why Jack was
it
at
might be
that,
Situate.
at that meeting, yeah.
They're like in the next week or so.
Really early.
Yeah.
They're really early. We're
Yes.
early. I thought we
Yeah.
were the earliest.
No, Norwell used to be early. I think they might have moved there, but Situate still is quite early.
And I wonder, do you, I don't know if you have any idea whether they're going to move forward at their town meetings with their budgets? Because, I mean, I know I can't say for sure yet, but ours is April 2nd, and I don't believe we have final numbers now. We do not have final numbers right now. I don't know whether we're gonna have.
Historically, Situate has always moved forward.
Historically, they usually.
Right.
Just like we're moving forward with the same numbers you have.
Yeah,
Right.
I just think you should move forward, but that's just my opinion.
we'll be there. All right, so looking at, we just got a copy of
Certainly.
the different assessments, and I guess we had a chance to look, a brief chance to look at it. You know, obviously, we have the most number of students. Based on that and other things, we have the highest assessment,
Yes.
followed by Rockland. Which makes sense, I guess, that we have the most kids, and then based upon that and the foundation
Can I
allocation.
just back up 1 minute?
Yeah,
I want to explain this a little better to you.
Yeah, because it's still not making sense to
Okay.
me.
What the difference between the 392,
This is
Yeah.
going back to
You guys-
the
other
debt
number?
the
Yeah.
debt service,
which is 53, which is 180.
There's 392 on this one.
Yeah, my
180
question is
on
the
that
difference
one.
between the
The
392
difference
and the 180.
the difference is what was still, under the old process, SBA people sent us money over 25 years, and I'm getting 211,000 as revenue.
Okay,
And that's what we charge you is net of revenue.
so this
that's-
payment would be 245 minus the 211.
No. The 392 would be minus the 211 to get you to the 180, the total,
Okay,
all right? But what we're showing in our budget, we have to budget the total amount, the 392, which is what we're paying, but then the state is turning around and giving us 211. So we can only assess you the difference between 211 and 392, which is the 180.
now it makes
Does
sense.
that make sense?
Yeah,
It just, you just hung me up there for a minute, but that's what's going on.
okay.
So what happens is when somebody
Right.
takes our budget and divides it by the number of students, and comes up with a cost per student, the 392 is in that figure, not the net figure that we charge you.
Okay.
That-
It's in the per pupil cost.
Yeah, that's why we have this, because these are costs that aren't in the Abington school system costs. They don't have their debt service costs, they're in the treasurer's budget.
Absolutely.
But we're like a municipality, and it's all in there. And so it's the gross budget, not the net budget. I was gonna mention that when you were talking about things, that the total assessment is $6.5 million. If you look at that sheet we just gave you, and the budget is 10.9.
9.
The difference is what the state pays us in revenue, in state aid. And, okay, in that is this 211,000 bond reimbursement. So we're always talking two levels. One level is the budget, and the second level is the assessment. And in the olden days, the state used to pay over 50% of our budget, which would be 5 million plus, and now you can see they're paying 3 million plus. So they've slowly switched the financial burden on the communities over the past 20 years.
Yep.
So I hope that helps you give a global picture. Good
Absolutely.
question, by the way. Nobody asked me that one. That's why you threw me.
Yeah, I
A
definitely.
solid high school education.
Is that what it
We'll
is,
do-
a solid
we'll do
high school
that.
education? Where'd you go to school?
Put me here to know, social tech,
Really?
He's an alum.
proud drafting graduate.
That's
done.
right, okay, good program.
Okay. Any questions that you guys have? Anything you need, or you'd like to have explained or clarified? Again, what you'll see on our budget is our assessment, the 1.9. I think it is, or, let me check it. Yeah? Oh, Tom, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Well, I know this is a public meeting, but I don't always accept public questions. But I don't-
Yeah, I'm okay,
I've got
yeah.
a couple of questions for our representatives. and,
Do you wanna come up and
I
speak?
really don't.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll talk loud enough.
You might want to get on TV.
I don't want to get on TV.
Or can we at least give you a microphone, that way people
Well, no,
can hear the question?
I would say ask the question and then we'll reiterate it in case.
Okay, well, there's two. I mean, one thing I'm going to anticipate at town meeting, which I think you've heard before, there's some members of the community that will ask about busing and user fees. And I think that comes up in Abington every year, and I don't know if you want to comment on that, where I think people in Abington see our students paying for busing fees, they see our students paying users fees for sports, and they say, why doesn't VOTEC do that?
Sure. Thank you for asking that. That does come up in communities when there are tight budget dollars. By statute, we cannot charge for busing. We do get some reimbursement for regional transportation. Back in the day when the state wanted to really incentivize districts to regionalize, there was a lofty goal of 100%.
100% is the law.
Yes, which
They
they
will
have
reimburse 100%.
not fulfilled. I was at a meeting today with a representative from the Mass Association of Regional Schools, where they're at the point where they're trying to lobby at the state to simply get them to agree to 80%, but have it be a real 80% and phase it in. We're likely to get 55 to 60%. It does vary.
But we were at 100% until the tight economic times
Right.
occurred.
And they
What they do is they're looking for money, that we're a small piece of the budget, and they can cut $5 million from the
Right.
regional schools.
And that is not part of Chapter 70,
Right.
which is something that
We
they
don't
have
have a lot of
prioritized
clout.
to leave alone.
But because theoretically we get reimbursed 100% of the cost to bus a student, the statute also says we cannot charge the student to be bused.
Right.
And that's just a fact of the law.
And regarding user fees for athletics, the approach that we're taking at the school is to have more intensive fundraising, rather than putting user fees on individual students where it could become an issue of those who can afford it and those who can't. We have a very active parents association, and we've recently established a parents group whose their children are involved in athletics. And so our approach has been to raise money which can then go into our athletic fund. So for instance, one of the cuts that I made, I cut our athletic budget, and I've cut the equivalent of at least one assistant coach. And so they're going to set as a goal to try to bring in revenue to cover those costs. So rather than it being a fee basis per student, that's how we've been able to approach that to meet our needs.
Tom, the other aspect of this is that our students all pay a service fee in the form of, they have to buy uniforms and work boots and come
Right.
dressed appropriately, which you would not have at a normal academic high school.
Right.
So there is a fee involved with that. Now, it's not as much as the athletic fee, but
Correct.
it's a fee.
But yeah,
They should be
it's-
given credit for, they're paying something too.
Right. We are saying to students that you have to wear work boots, you have to wear this type of shirt. Adele's two children graduated from South Shore, one from Health Careers, one from Electrical. They both had uniform requirements.
And tools.
Oh, the tools cost me a fortune.
Right. Yeah, people don't realize that
They have-
they're paying a lot for their tools. We don't give them their tools. Carpenter needs a hammer, we don't give it to him. He's gotta go buy it.
That's why you pick drafting.
Yeah, that's why I picked drafted.
Pencils
We
all
give them
around.
computers, and pencils are cheap.
Did you have more of that question?
I did have another one. It had to do with the out-of-district towns. You have Duxbury, Hingham, Howell, Marshfield, and Pembroke. What's the out-of-district rate for those towns for those VOTEC?
That number is set by the state, and I would put it in the ballpark of $14,000 to $15,000.
No, it's 17,000 now, and they also have to transport the student back and forth.
That money is then sent back to the towns to lower assessments.
Yeah, because I think that's an important point to bring up, because I could see a rationale that the rate was less for an out-of-district kid than what we're being assessed. And, you know, there might be a movement to say, let's pull out and
Right.
go out-of-district. Because I'm just hearing the numbers, and I think you said Abington's assessment is $1,912,000-ish. So that means it costs about $12,400 for each for an Abington kid to go versus
Right.
if we're looking
I
at.
think
another
Norfolk
district,
Aggie is like
17.
20,000
Yeah.
that you're
Right.
paying to send
Right,
it.
that's even more.
Yeah, you're
than-
paying, I don't know how many kids go to Norfolk Abbey from Abington, but they do go.
They do go.
And they're like 20,000 plus transportation.
And that's the town has to pay that,
Right. There's a state law that if a child wants that kind of education, the town has to provide it. And they have to go to the nearest regional school. We don't have plumbing, for example, so if a student from Abington wanted plumbing, he'd have to go to Southeastern or Blue Hills.
Or Blue Hills, where they would apply as an out-of-district
Right,
student.
and you would have to
They
pay
would not
that
be on
tuition
the-
rate.
Right, exactly right,
And provide transportation back and forth,
assuming there were spots, which,
assuming there were spots. Yeah. There are no spots, right? There are no spots in vocational education anywhere.
right,
Right?
there are waiting lists everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very popular education.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Tom. Good questions. Anything else? Anybody have any other questions that they're interested in or they think could potentially come up on town meeting floor? No? We're good? Anything else you guys want to share with us?
No, thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer any follow-up questions that you might have.
Well, I would just like to share the fact that the towns have all been very responsive to our needs, and we try to be responsive to yours, and we really would appreciate your favorable consideration of this assessment.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, you guys, thank you. That was very informative and interesting.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Thanks for your
Adele,
time.
thank you very much for your,
Nice to meet you.
thanks for volunteering to be,
It's actually been very enjoyable.
I bet it has. Well, thank you, we appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys.
Okay,
Have a
good
good
night.
I'm the
night.
only female member, but it's nice to have a female on the committee.
Yes, it is. She's the only female member, really?
Yeah, we haven't had a female member in probably 10 years, maybe?
Really?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a mom.
From Hanover for a very short time.
Before Val, yeah. Yes. Yeah,
Thanks again.
Thank you very much. All right.
good question. Now I'm all set for Hanson. I gotta be there next week. They ask the same
I'm glad I
question.
could stump you for a few minutes.
Yeah, you did.
Good question, Chad. Thank you
It's
very much.
tax time, I can't,
Yeah,
I lose things like that.
thanks, guys. Okay, well, that was, thank you guys for your questions and your attention there. Tonight, again, as you know, we don't have, Bob, you're in my camera. Camera's on, guys. Anyway, so we don't have the town manager here tonight. And, oh God, I'm like flashing. Okay, so we don't have those guys, but I did want to bring up some things. Actually, why don't we do some housekeeping stuff off the bat? We have some minutes this evening for the February 28th. I would, let's see, everybody was here. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of February 28th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. And Cindy will second it. All those in favor? Okay, excellent. Those are done. Thank you very much. Just as I did send, Barbara, I sent a note to Peter Schaefer earlier today.
Thank you, yes, I saw you
About the-
CC'd me.
Thank you. About the school building committee, Barbara is our representative on that. This afternoon, I don't know if you guys all got an opportunity to get your emails, but Dory Jameson sent out the draft copy of the warrant. I don't know if you have it or if you've had an opportunity to see it yet. We don't have to go through it all right now, but what I did want to bring out is that there are a handful of petition items on here, which, as part of going through the warrant, and as part of going through the budget, we will invite the petitioners to come in over the next 3 or 4 meetings that we have. The local meals tax is on there, the proposal for that, and so I will reach out to Jack Buckley, who is the petitioner on that, and see if we can get him to speak with us, as we have done in the past. There's also an article on here with regard to,
Oh, sorry, Maureen,
Sorry.
just, no,
go ahead.
just while we're on it, the meals tax, if we're going to invite Mr. Buckley in, can we just put it out there to the restaurant owners again, that if they wanted to come and speak to that, or listen to Mr. Buckley speak to that, or
Good point, yes, we
share
did.
their...
Thank you, Barbara, that's right. I reached out to them last time it was on too, so I would, thank you for reminding, I will do that as well. Just, again, like you said, both sides of it, make sure that all sides have a say. All right, good point, thank you. I will do that. That's one article that's out there by petition. There's another one by petition to see if the quorum for the annual or special town meeting shall be 75 registered voters of the town. I believe right now it's 250? 250, something like that?
It's 100, no, is it 200?
I thought it was a 150.
Yeah,
Is it 150?
150.
Okay, so this would be trying, in an attempt to make it 75. So we'll, I believe Paul Malika, Mr. Paul Malika, put that petition forward, so I will reach out to him. I actually already did, and just, you know, we'll figure out a time. In addition, in the warrant, when everyone gets it, there is a very long article, and it's about the bylaw review, some changes to the, I don't know if it's the charter and the bylaws, but it's submitted by the bylaw review committee, which isn't necessarily by petition, but it's the bylaw review committee, but there are a lot of changes. So I sent a note to, I sent a note out to them because they were looking to come in and meet with us as well. So I gave them the next couple dates, I think next Tuesday, not next Wednesday because we have the schools coming in, and then the following Tuesday and the following Wednesday. So we'll try to get them in also. That's Kathy Crichton, and what's it?
Kathy Creighton, yeah.
Kathy Crichton, Jean Kelly. So we'll try to get them in as well. And there's another one by petition, and that's with regard to $4,000 for a new day. But we had talked to the town manager, and that may end up being in a budget, I don't know. So the town warrant has to go to the Board of Selectmen on Monday anyway. They'll certify it, or whatever the terminology is. I think they're meeting on a Monday. But the point is, I will take it upon myself to, which I've already kind of done, reach out to these guys and see if we can get some people in to speak about those petition articles. There are some other articles in there which we already know about. The Water Commission has a couple out there. I think there's some by the fire department. There's some for sick time and that kind of thing, which are sort of contractual obligations. So I would encourage you guys to go through this, and we'll talk about it in depth over the next 3 or 4 meetings that we have. So take a look at that.
We'll kind of have to really make a squeeze to get petitioners in and go over the warrant, because what's our time frame?
Our time-
Today's March
I'll give you
7th.
our time frame. Today is March 7th. In order to get our recommendations on the warrant, it's basically not going to happen, because we would have to make those decisions tonight. But I don't know how you guys feel. In the past, it's been considered a really important thing to have it on there, but the timing of everything just doesn't ever seem to work. So the fact of the matter is, we're not going to have recommendations on the warrant itself, but that's really not generally a problem, because the warrant goes out, there's an explanation a small explanation of the things on here, and then we will, we'll post our recommendations. We need our financial recommendations posted by the 19th of March, and then we need our non-financial recommendations posted by the 23rd of March. So we have 2 full weeks. Not that that's a lot of time, but if we're meeting on Tuesday the 13th and Wednesday the 14th, and then Tuesday the 20th and Wednesday the 21st, which I think we sort of agreed that we would be meeting on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, that gives us four meetings to get these guys in, to go over the warrant, to get our recommendations. Well, actually, the budget recommendations, we only have 1 week, so we have to do that next week. But to have the final other recommendations by the 23rd, we have to meet with the school department. We have to meet with the town manager with regard to revenue projections, overlay, all that kind of stuff. The other side, and then we still have to get to, the petition articles, all the other articles, and a budget.
So we have till the 23rd to get
Non-financial recommendations.
non-financial recommendations, and we have 2, 3, 4 meetings
4 meetings.
to fit everything in.
It's
So
it's
we're gonna
1,
have to
2, 3.
probably cram a bunch of those. No, well, the petitioners, I'm
The
thinking.
petitions, there's 3 petitioners. That's it.
Okay,
It's Mr. Buckley, Mr. Malika, and the bylaw review committee.
all right, I don't know why I thought there was more.
I mean, we've already talked to the sewer department about theirs.
No, I thought there was, I don't know why I thought there was more private.
I thought there might have been two, but I went through it, and those are the ones, unless you guys see something I'm not seeing.
Was the personal bylaw in this one?
Oh, yeah, that's the town manager, though. So we can talk to him about that, too. So, I mean, he should be in all of our meetings. The personnel bylaw is also in here, yes. If you recall, that's something that was on town meeting floor at the last town meeting. That is, I think it's Article 2A, it's Article 2, I believe. And then it goes into 2A, which is the wage index. Yeah, so Article 2 is the one. And so we'll talk to the town manager about that, because he's the one who submitted that. And the last time it was him, and I think he had also had some input by some of the Board of Selectmen. I think it might have been Andy, it might have been Kevin Donovan. But anyway, I'll talk to him about that and make sure he's prepared to speak on that on Tuesday as well. Right? Yeah. All right, so I would say go through those. If you have any, if I've missed anything and I have to invite other people, please, give me an email, let me know. Because like Barbara was saying, and we all kind of are aware, we have 4 meetings. Unless we're gonna meet more often than those 4 to get through the warrant and the revenue numbers and the petitioners and get recommendations, etc. So far so good? That's pretty much what let me think. That's pretty much what I had on our agenda. Anything else anyone wants to bring up tonight? All right, well, we have our homework to read through some things. And we're scheduled to meet this Saturday morning at 8 o'clock at the North School. That's to go over, it's our annual meeting with the school department, with the superintendent, the school committee. I know Board of Selectmen have been invited. It's an open meeting, we're posted and they're posted. So that's at 8 o'clock in the morning on the North School. This is where we go over, we're gonna go over their budget on camera next Wednesday, but this is where we get a lot of details about what things mean and, what Chapter 70 is and assessments. Yeah, go ahead.
If anybody doesn't know, they're usually up on the second floor.
That we go in and that's up on the
Yeah.
second floor.
You're going to go upstairs and it's way down the end.
All right, so that's our strategy and our plan. Anybody have any questions or other ideas? All right, then I will.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. All right, let me just shut this off. Debbie, both Michelle and Sean are excused. I know you got
I didn't sign in, Deb.
She doesn't have a sheet.
Oh, I don't have my whole book.
Well, then,